Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're going to be doing kind of an issue that's been in gaming for a while, and we've been talking about the backwardation ultimately in like studios in the video games, in different ones later in the series that have less or worse mechanics or even run worse with the same engine than what previous games did, like Monster Hunter Wilds, the studio that made Redfall again, which wasn't very good. Destiny is another example. Suicide Squad with excuse me, with Rocksteady, Monolith being shut down recently, and like the Wonder Woman game being canceled. Skull and Bones was another mess. Concord. We've had a lot of these games over the years, and we've been seeing this trend, and it's gotten to a point where a lot of people are finally talking out about it. But yeah, I'm here to talk about Pokemon Legends Z to A. And what you're seeing on the screen is the trailer right now. Two trailers actually put together. But I want to talk about this because my issue with the game isn't necessarily the graphics, the location, or the performance issues, or even the timeline, new combat style, or the starters. While I do have some issues with those things, that's not the primary thing that I'm focused on as a player, having been a fan of Pokemon for, roughly 25, 30 years now. It's been a long time. So let's think back first. Let's think back why we all fell in love with Pokemon, why we still enjoy Pokemon today, and ultimately it was the adventure of Ash Ketchum on his journey as a trailer in the world of Pokemon and running through all of the badges, the leagues, meeting all of the characters, all of the different type of Pokemon, the tournaments he was a part of, all of that stuff, right? We also had conflict with Team Rocket, with Gary, if you played like the older, like original Pokemon games on the Game Boy, and also running into other trainers and then learning about all of the Pokemon. We've had, I think, 9 generations now of Pokemon, and there's a ton of them out there. We also got to learn about the world and the lore, too, through just this entire universe that Game Freak and Pokemon Company have made. And we loved Pokemon, really because of the story and the adventure of not just, a few story or a few characters, but just the entire thing as a whole. And honestly, we didn't know what was going to happen next. That's why we kept watching. That's why we kept playing. That's why we kept searching for more Pokemon. Pokemon Legends Z to A, while it doesn't show much in the trailer necessarily, though I've showed you as much as I can here, it ultimately really doesn't feel adventurous. Now hold on, before you get all huffy and puffy, let me explain here. It all takes place in one city, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's just one city as far as we can see. There's no hills, there's no forest, there's no mountains, there's no caves to crawl around in to discover, there's no leagues or big tournaments to be a part of. It's just following a story of some characters that we've already known with the timeline they've already started. But really, I really hope I'm wrong about this because the city itself, alone by itself, is kind of boring. And I hope maybe there's some kind of sewer system to dig into. Maybe there's some kind of like undeveloped parts of the city or maybe abandoned parts of the city. But again, from what we can see from the trailer, that doesn't seem to be the case. It's just Luminous City as a circular with a big wall around it on the edge, that you can't really go past or anything. And that looks like it's really it. And to catch Pokemon, this is what really kind of like put up a red flag for me, is that you ultimately go to a park. So the story is that Luminous City is going through a redevelopment plan where they have these parks for wild Pokemon to thrive. And really, they're more or less just a place to go capture Pokemon. It's not really a place to be adventurous. It's not a place for the Pokemon to thrive. It's a place for you to capture them. Now, they're numbered, as you'll see in the trailer. There's like 1 through 6 that we know of so far. Maybe there's more parks than that. But ultimately, you just walk into the park, see if the Pokemon you want is there, beat it up, and then put it in your Pokeball. And that's basically it. There's nothing else. And man, that really takes the adventure out of it. There's also nothing to explore, so it might be challenging to actually find the type of Pokemon you want, because again, these aren't necessarily designed or split up into certain ways. Maybe the parks are a little different. So like if you want a rock or sand Pokemon or something like that, you'll go to one area. And if you want like water or flying Pokemon, you'll go to another different type of park. I hope they're kind of set up that way, so that way you're not just constantly popping in and out, not seeing the Pokemon you want and trying again tomorrow. And while some things have some kind of cool things about the city, including like a day-night cycle, the game really doesn't feel like it's about catching Pokemon anymore. Again, the focus is the city and the people in it. And so this has kind of become more of like a social relationship game where capturing, evolving, and battling is still a part of the game. There's still battle mechanics there. There's still things that we enjoy about it. But again, the focus really doesn't seem to be the Pokemon. It almost seems like these things are kind of more like a side note or like mini games that are a part of the game as a whole. And this ultimately, for me personally, this isn't what I want. Because, I mean, it doesn't really feel like it's about Pokemon. It kind of feels more like a My Time at Porsche game or a Coral Island game or Stardew or Harvest Moon. While they'll still have animals in them, while there's still game mechanics for those creatures and animals and enemies, that's not the main focus of the game. And that's kind of what this feels like, unfortunately. So what I personally would really like is a game where we just follow Ash again. They redo his entire adventures of getting the badges, going through the Johto League, all of this stuff, meeting all of the side characters and friends in a 3D environment. And just let it be open world or semi-open world big. I mean, it's possible. We've seen it at My Time at Porsche, My Time at Sandrock, Coral Island. Coral Island even has a whole like scuba dive area down there on top of the island itself. There's also Stardew Valley. Again, there's a whole sewer system under there. There's also you can travel on a bus and go to a different location and see more stuff over there. Harvest Moon has multiple different biomes and regions, which is cool, that you're able to explore as well. And you can also like fast travel on all of that when you find these certain statues. But Luminous City with Pokemon Legends ZA doesn't seem to have this. None of these. It just takes place in the city. And again, I think it'd be exciting to follow Ash Ketchum through the 3D environment, go through these different biomes, go through the leagues, get the badges, visit these towns and cities, meet these characters, go through the, all of the different types of generations of Pokemon, at least up to a certain point, maybe through Generation 4 or something, or maybe even have them as expansions, where it's like you get a new place with the new generation of Pokemon when they were introduced into Ash's story. Or at least as far as you can. That would be more exciting than this. This is actually kind of what I was expecting, to be honest. Instead, what we have is Pokemon are basically stuck in parks in one city with kind of a glitchy trailer. And that's not overly exciting. The real combat, too, while I appreciate the innovation, it doesn't look overly great. Your Pokemon is kind of side-saddled to you, where you can help them dodge, and then you can either swap out Pokemon in real time or do different attacks. But again, your opponent doesn't seem to be really fast-paced. Like, it doesn't look like it's going to be a very challenging mechanic. There might be a bit of a learning curve, but once you get past that, the rest of it looks like it'll be a breeze. There's also Mega Evolution, which in cases that we got to see, even too during the trailer, is maybe you're just going to be able to Mega Evolve your Pokemon at some points when you're kind of losing a battle, and then you'll just be able to take over and win. Again, it might just be another cop-out mechanic. And while we've had these Mega Evolutions before, there doesn't really seem to be anything that's actually going to be better or improved or innovated on this. They're just putting it back in. And again, we've seen this with other type of games too, unrelated to Pokemon. But again, this is not a new idea. You take something out for a game or two, and then you put it back in as if it's brand new. And it's kind of exciting for it to be back again, but again, it's a cheapening of the quality. It's kind of more of a gimmick than anything else. And there's really no new innovation here. Excuse me. Even taking a look at like being able to go on roofs and stuff, man, the animations of all of that, the parkour that some channels talk about, I don't think that's going to be the case. It looks like trash. It looks trashy. I don't think you're going to be able to go from place to place on the rooftops like you could in Twisted Metal 2 way back in the day, as long as you hit the ramps right. I think it'll only just be certain areas or certain sections where you'll actually be able to do this. Or maybe you got to work up to actually get an ability, like in Gotham Knights, to actually be able to then do this. It's not like it's just built into the game. You might have to earn it, which hopefully that's not too far in, but maybe a third of the way or halfway you'll actually be able to start doing some parkour. But they couldn't even animate ladders and stuff. There's not even any animation for that either. You just walk into a yellow beam elevator and you just magically appear on top of the roof. And notice they don't really show much past that. It's really, really simplistic. And again, sometimes with simplicity, less is more, but there just seems to be a lot of type of gimmicky stuff in this game. And again, my real question to you guys is that if it wasn't Pokemon, would you be excited? I think it's a real question because it helps take out some of the bias. And I got bias too with multiple IPs, including this one. But man, when I saw this trailer, it's just like, wow, that is pretty underwhelming. And then too, it's like while they're creating some new things like real-time shadows with the day-night cycle, which is a cool idea, overall, the game doesn't look good. It doesn't look like it runs well on top of that. And then there is just some kind of clanky, gimmicky mechanics in the game. So I hope I'm wrong about this. I really am. They have, of course, until the end of the year, roughly. This will probably be coming out before Thanksgiving for Black Friday sales and stuff like that. We'll probably be able to pre-order probably around the summertime-ish, sometime in there. But, or you might even be able to do that now, actually. But yeah, if it wasn't Pokemon, would you be excited about this? And this is where it's like the brand is selling. Again, it's not the game. It's not the quality that Game Freak is doing through their studio in developing it. It's just the brand of Pokemon. And this is why I'm glad we have Palworld. There's some innovations there, so there's some challenges there. It's a small studio. It's their first game, but they're able to find a chink in the armor and create some competition with Nintendo, which I think Nintendo severely needs. Because not only are they doing these type of games, they're also patenting certain game mechanics, like throwing a Pokeball and capturing a Pokemon. We got to see that with the lawsuit against Palworld. And so while Nintendo can't attack Palworld directly as an IP, they're now attacking it from the way of patents to see if they can shut it down. But I think ultimately the competition is good. It's going to force Game Freak to innovate. But if this is their best foot forward with their Pokemon game, it kind of makes me worried, honestly. Because is Game Freak capable of doing any of the stuff that we talked about? Again, they've been making games for a long time. They've even done multiple 3D games, of course. But yeah, maybe they're just not as capable as we really think they are. I will down below link, of course, the trailer if you want to watch it or the Pokemon presentation. And then I will also link down below a really good technical analysis of the trailer through a game developer that actually knows what he's talking about. So, which is great. So yeah, with that, folks, thanks for tuning in. You can always follow me at Gaming Garbage 22 over at YouTube. We have playlists on the channel, so you can poke around and look at the playthroughs, look at the co-ops, look at the gaming news, the states of gaming, reviews, all of that kind of stuff. It's all there. And then also, too, if you'd like, you can also follow me over at Twitch at Don't Tread on Thee, where everything, of course, gets ported there first. And then I gussy it up a little bit and put it over to YouTube, where it looks a little better. There's a thumbnail, all that jazz. But yeah, if you're looking just for the raw information and just getting it first, Twitch is your best bet. So with that, folks, what do you guys think? Are you excited for Legends? Is it hard to unsee what's going on? I mean, me personally, it's just like, man, I would have rather have Ash see the characters, have it all in a 3D game at this point. And then, too, we don't even know if this game is going to be for the Switch 1 and or the Switch 2. I imagine it's going to be both. But again, we'll have to see. Nintendo is holding their cards pretty close to their chest. So with that, folks, we'll see you guys on the next one.